Welcome back to the show. Very excited for today's discussion and the one on YouTube. And today it's going to be about leverage is the key to wealth across the park. It's been something that I have been unintentionally diving into and trying to create in my own life. And over the last sort of 1 to 2 weeks, I've been researching it a lot more, looking at how everyone can achieve more leverage in their life and why you should be starting to look at that if you want to have more control over your time and the results and the quality of your life. But also now the idea around traditional leverage versus modern leverage. And we'll dive into that throughout this episode. So let's crank into it. So after the first year of running men's groups, I was fortunate to sit in a room with men from all walks of life, like doctors, bricklayers, stay-at-home dads, students, athletes, and so much more. And we connected in ways like I had never seen. So speaking on behalf of those who attended, we realized that we all had problems, goals, and a deep desire for connection. Success looked different for each man, but the underlying issues were the exact same. Over the years, I have sought meaning from these conversations. How could I take what I've heard and make my life as good as it could possibly be? How could I be the best version of myself while building a great life? Is that possible? So regardless of the problems that most men faced, it boiled down to being trapped in the relentless grind of life. So they may have experienced success in their careers, their family life, or their social circles, but the responsibilities weighed them down. They lacked leverage. So whether it came through time, money, network, health, or adventure, their current lifestyles had set them up to be great at what they had optimized for. And that's the key part there, is what you have optimized for. But as the seasons of life change, they were stuck. And you and I both know that change happens whether we like it or not. So learning to optimize for change is probably a great skill to develop. So I believe that it is one of the, key things that we can develop to live a great life, because change is part of life as we live it. So what would your life look like if you could be at your best while adapting to the changes that life throws at you? Is it actually waking up early, commuting through the traffic, putting in the long hours at the office, struggling to break free? That cycle continues to repeat itself and the hamster wheel continues to spin. Or is there a better way? If you've followed me for long enough, you'll know that I've been doing things differently. It may not be the best thing for you, but for me, I didn't want to subscribe to the status quo. I wanted to do what I wanted with who I wanted, when I wanted, without the financial constraint. And that was sort of one of those overarching goals that I was working towards, and I had it in my mind when I was making decisions. And the lessons from those men's group made me realize that there was no traditional solution. At every turn, people were compromising and people were making sacrifices in a way or in an area that came back to bite them on the ass later on in their life. So that led me to questioning, or even thinking, is it possible to do it without having those repercussions come back and bite you on the ass later in life? And because there wasn't really a solution out there, it had to be created. And that boiled down to leverage, or really diving into leverage. So in this instance, and let's give the example, leverage refers to using time strategically to amplify your results and achieve your goals more effectively. How can anyone use leverage? So leverage isn't restricted for just the wealthy, right? It's a great place to start, don't get me wrong, and I'll talk about that at the end. If I was in a position again where I was starting from scratch, the first piece of leverage, or the first area I would want to get in order, would be my finances. The reason being is when you have finances available to you, you can purchase more resources and you can build a team to help free up time to work on the other areas in your life that we all know we need to work on, right? So as I was saying, it isn't restricted for the wealthy. It is available to anyone who is prepared to create it. If you don't have it, you will have to grow in order to achieve it. Now, this means leverage is found in the uncomfortable zone, and that alone is enough, or one of the biggest factors limiting most people from achieving it, right? They avoid discomfort, they avoid growth, and you may be in that same position. I've spent a lot of time thinking about leverage and how anyone can use it, but I just want to circle back around to that growth part. If you're in a position where you, I guess, avoid discomfort, whether you've built a life of comfort and patting yourself on the back because that's an awesome thing to do, that's what we are hardwired to do. Or if you're in a position where you just haven't sought challenge, maybe your self-confidence isn't where you want it to be, so you don't necessarily take risks. One of the things that you can start doing to find the uncomfortable zone or get comfortable in the uncomfortable, which I guess you never really do, you just know that there's always going to be change, is find something that you enjoy, right? It could be in any field of life, and think about or identify one of the potential problems in that area. So this could be in your relationships, this could be with your health, this could be in your career, it could be just in your social circle. Now, when you identify an area that can be improved, you now have created a gap. And within that gap is, I guess, the uncomfortable zone where you have to do something different to grow, to produce a different outcome. And when it's tied into something that you want to improve anyway, it makes it a lot easier for you to do it. And if you just chipped away at that for a while, I promise you that your self-esteem will grow and your confidence in yourself to get comfortable in the uncomfortable will grow, which will then put you in a better position to maybe implement some of the things that we talk about in the rest of this episode. So in order to amplify results and improve effectiveness and efficiency, we need to grow in value. So when we have more value to give, we can receive more in return. So when we have more value to offer, we can receive more in return. This means that you can achieve better results with less effort. That can come through finances, network, and the things that I've mentioned above. Let's use Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, as the example. At the time of writing this, his net worth is $200 billion. That is insane. And according to Inc. Jeff made $7.9 million per hour in 2023. How does he make more in an hour than most people will make in their entire life? You guessed it, leverage. He has the same amount of hours as everyone else, but he has people working for him, which increases the amount of hours being worked at and on Amazon. He has influencers and affiliates that grow their brand using e-commerce that leverages his network. So you can learn and implement things like this into your own life. So I'll use myself as a personal example now, and I'm still learning and by no means have nailed this. But my first experience in business was in network marketing, essentially building a sales team. You guys can argue in the comments about pyramid schemes and whatever, but it taught me about the power of growing and developing a team with a common goal. If I helped enough people get what they wanted, I in turn would get what I wanted. And initially I had to work a lot of hours to train myself and grow and develop myself, but also train, grow and develop a team. Once my team was built, I experienced the benefit of investing time in coaching and also sales and developing a sales team. The next benefit of leverage that I've experienced was through my podcast. So after publishing almost 600 episodes, it has given me enough credibility, and I've been around since 2017 in the podcast game, to chat to people I never would have had access to. I got to learn and establish credibility as a result, right? So that in itself is a form of leverage, because, I heard an example the other day. Actually, it was an example. Joe Rogan was talking about, not Rogan, Hormozi was talking about, in order to go to the decision makers, so let's say within a company, it's the C-suite people, the people who really make decisions at the top there. It's very hard unless you have, I guess, a personal brand. For example, Hormozi just put a tweet out and said, hey, does anyone have access to or know anyone at this company? And, he got multiple messages back, ended up having a call with the CFO or something like that, and was able to broker a deal. So there's some benefits within the leverage of personal brand, which comes through social media, being a public figure, or anything like that. So something to think about. And finally, personal business. So I used to trade time for money, and I guess in a way I still do. But the effort I put in brings a significantly larger return. So putting a week into building a course, for example, while it might be 38 plus hours, putting that into that time and then launching it, which could generate 20,000 plus, achieves more than I could in a week working full time, trading time for money in the way that I did. So what I want that to highlight, and that's nothing against trading time for money, because I still do it, as I said, but it's how can you increase the leverage that you have? So rather than originally when I earned $22 an hour, how can you bring that up to maybe $30 an hour or $50 an hour to create more leverage and scalability there? So a framework that I would use, which is called the Triple L, the Lachlan's Leverage Ladder. The first one is invest in yourself. So I'm going to expand on that. So the level that you grow, whether it's in business or in life, it comes back to the level that you invest in yourself. And that can be financially, investing in coaching, programs, etc., or just even health with trainers, etc., or your information. So investing time in, whether you're listening to this right now, you're doing that, or YouTube or courses, right? You're investing in yourself, and ideally you're solving problems in your own life. You're seeking information that is going to solve those problems. The second point is increase your hourly rate. If you're someone who is constantly or continuously solving problems in your own life, you're going to be becoming more valuable, not only within, but to other people. Because when you solve problems, I guarantee you there are other people out there with the same problems. And as a result of that, you can then start solving those problems. So you may become more valuable to your employer because you've learned different skill sets aside from the one that you were initially employed to. Or if you're working for yourself or coaching or consulting, your skill set has broadened, right? And you can compound those experiences and add more value, which means you can increase your hourly rate because you're in a higher demand. The next step there, number 3, is cutting back on your work hours towards your ideal day. Everyone has or actually, if you don't have an idea of your ideal day, go back and think about what that would look like. How many work hours? What would you be doing? And you can start cutting back on that, because as you increase your hourly work rate, you can then cut back work hours, which means you can start living your ideal life, which makes life more fulfilling. The next step I would do is growing your network. Continue growing your network. Hang out with people who have the results that you want. I guess leading the way in areas that you're interested in. You'll notice a big shift in especially in this podcast over the coming months, as I'm training for the 58 to 58, and then also launching online products and courses and building the community out. I'll have more people who are experts in those areas, so you guys can learn as well. But that's what I'm really interested in learning about. The next one is leveraging technology, and we'll talk about this in modern leverage versus traditional leverage, but essentially, with AI and online systems and programs, and how you can leverage those to create greater wealth and free up time and really systemize things. It just gives you back more time once again, so you can focus on adding more value to yourself, upskilling, and working on the other things that are more important to you, and which allows you to scale, which is the next point. You want to scale the things that you're doing, because with the right systems, resources, and processes, you can scale. Everything that you do can achieve more. But I guess another thing to tie that back into is when you have your personal vision, you will know to what level you want to grow your professional vision. There's no point just continuously chasing more money if it's not what you wanted. So go back and listen to the last couple episodes around designing your life and creating a vision and stuff. That'll be helpful in that one. Finally, keep your money working for you. If it's sitting there just being stagnant, it's not going to be growing, right? Obviously, when you get your money working, there is always risk. So consider that. However, you want your money working because that is a form of leverage, right? If it's doing things that can potentially help it grow, even if it's at X% per annum, then that is better than just sitting there doing nothing. So let's dive into modern leverage, traditional leverage. So I've been exploring how to create more leverage in my life, especially over the last 5 years. And within my business, I've had staff members, I've had a business partnership, all with the goal of freeing up time and amplifying my results. I view that as traditional leverage, and I'll give you a bit of a rundown of some more key points of traditional leverage in a moment. But for example, having 2 staff members would bring, full-time staff members, that is, would bring my business in an additional 76 hours per week to achieve tasks. Now, that could then free me up to focus on, I guess, the higher leverage tasks that I was good at, or just doing the things that I wanted, or I could just chill out, really, like, honestly. So the personal challenge that I experienced was that it meant I had to manage the people. And I wouldn't say management in that aspect is one of my strong suits or something that I enjoy doing. I had to manage that the employees that I had were generating more revenue than I was paying them. We know that's how business works, right? Profitability. And I quickly found out that I didn't enjoy that. I wasn't experiencing leverage. Instead, I had higher overheads and I was spending more time on the business, and I guess in the business as well. So many businesses push through to the point where they'll, I guess, cover that gap, develop, and then they'll employ a manager. But I personally didn't like the idea of that. And I guess I pushed and looked for other options. Now, I revisited my vision and realigning to my values of health, freedom, family, connection, and adventure. It really highlighted that that wasn't the path for me. It was tough for me to acknowledge that I didn't want to grow my business in the traditional way, but I guess in a way I felt like a failure, but it also opened me up to explore different options. And this is what led me down the rabbit hole of, I guess, modern leverage, which includes personal brand, technology, and systems. And it excited me so much more, to be honest. And once again, it's what I'm talking about a lot at the moment because I'm learning a lot about it at the moment as well. And I found it, and I still do find it personally, less risky and more aligned with the life that I want to live. So I'm not saying traditional versus modern, there is any better or worse. It is going to be unique to you. And when you have that vision, you will be able to identify what it aligns with, which one's going to be best suited for you, because that's what you need to do. There's no right or wrong. There is only what works for you. So if I got it right, I would be the brand, which meant the more I stayed true to who I was and documented, the more I would be considered for opportunities and my brand would grow. And I loved this idea. It was the first time that I started looking at business through the lens of traditional versus modern leverage. Now, traditional leverage, typically, and not limited to, and there are other things to consider there as well, is staff and employees. So obviously increasing manpower to accomplish tasks, which is awesome, right? Like, you have leverage there. It's more risky because you're paying people's rent and helping them put food on the table, but is still very beneficial and is done highly or very, very well, right? And generally it's done much better than modern leverage, to be honest. Physical location. So you rely on the brick and mortar businesses to provide services and sell. So there are higher overheads there. However, having a physical location allows for more foot traffic and advertising as well. So it has those upsides there. Manual processes and workflows to run the business. Once again, technology is definitely being integrated into traditional brick and mortar businesses as well. Higher overheads, generally you're renting spaces, needing staff, systems, software, all of that sort of stuff. So it is generally a higher startup cost. Limited scalability. So unless you're going to franchise, like you look at McDonald's, they've nailed it. But a lot of businesses, say, for example, you're just an accountancy firm in a regional town, like, it is very hard to scale and grow, which means eventually you're going to cap out on resources. So once again, that's not all of them. You'll probably have some. If you want to comment in the comments below, please do so. But let's look at personal brand now. So build and leverage a personal brand to attract opportunities to grow and influence. Now, once again, this is challenging for a lot of people because you have to put yourself out there. One of the ways in today's world how people are building a personal brand is through social media. If you don't like being criticized, or if you fear judgment, that's going to be challenging for you. So as much as there's a brilliant upside, there is also a lot of challenges that come with it. Technology. So utilize technology to automate processes, increase efficiency, and reduce the need for human intervention. Not managing people is pretty cool. I'd rather just be friends with them. And systems, so implement systems that streamline your operation and enhance productivity. Low overheads is another cool thing. So reduced cost by minimizing reliance on physical spaces and large teams. So even in my business, when I do workshops, their overheads are much higher than if I'm running an online program or the Strongman Value Academy. And scalability. Now, scalability definitely has a upside here. You can reach people all around the world, which is incredible. And you can build courses where you invest in the time and the building at the beginning. But over time, if you've got something that adds a lot of value, is priced well, can continue selling for years, which is pretty cool. So you are the sole person responsible for success here. You don't have anyone to hide behind, which is very scary for a lot of people, which is why in the course I'm talking about like mindset and management systems that can help you be successful. So you're in the direct line of sight. Many people can't handle that, as I mentioned, and the more successful you become in this space, the more people feel they know you because you are the personal brand. Now, it's not something for everyone, but something worth considering. So I'm personally happy with that trade-off, and it's something that I would recommend you think about. Even though there's plenty of moments I want to, walk away from technology and go hide in the forest, that's one of those trade-offs. So I'm still learning more about this, and you'll probably hear more about this in the weekly newsletter and episodes to come over the coming weeks and months, but it's something that I need to have more of in my life to keep living a great life. It gives you control over your time, reduces the overwhelm, and allows you to have time for what's important. Now, I said it a few weeks ago, but I believe the most important place to start is with the finances. And I said it at the beginning of this episode as well. It has such an upside to provide more time and resources to scale and improve the other areas. Now, I'm diving heavily into this into the next program, and you can join the waitlist in the link below, or just head over to my website where I'll help you build out your vision. You'll establish your business readiness, build your management systems and your mindset for success. You don't need to be an expert to start. The key is just starting. If you like my approach, you're going to love this new course. It will open you up to embark on the best journey of personal development as you establish your personal brand. Now, I'm really excited to launch it. Thanks for being here this week, and make sure you check out my most recent episode with Mike Zeller. I will see you guys next week. Cheers.